B'shas T'mar D'Asra, we're continuing our share in Dirshu B'Halacha. Today's share, we're a little bit behind. So we are on Kuf Tzadik Ches Amid Beis. We're in Siman Shin Mem Hey. Yeah. See, we're missing Moshe. We're in Siman Shin Mem Hey, and we're in the middle of Sif Yud Daled. So we're discussing the laws of a Kərməlית, and the Mechaber had said, Ezehu Kərməlית, in Sif Yud Daled, what's a Kərməlית? Makom she'ein hiluch l'Rabbim, a place which is not made for the movement of the Rabbim. The Rabbim does not travel there. Kigoin Yam, for instance, an ocean, a waterway, a river, a lake, and we discussed that yesterday in the Mishnah Berurah. And now the Mechaber says Ubika, a plain, a valley, a place where the fields are, and that's where people grow crops, and that is not a mokim that is for the hiluch harabim. So now the Mishnah Berurah says in Ois Katan Mem Tes, we're on Kuf Tzadik Ches Amid Beis Shin Mem Hey Sif Yud Daled. Mishnah Berurah Ois Katan Mem Tes Ubika. What's a bika? Says the Chavetz Chaim, mokim sadois. This is the place where the fields are. She'ein mukaf b'chitzos. The area is not surrounded by mechitzos, and it is not a mokim hiluch harabim. So that is also a Kərməlית. It's going to be a Rishus D'Rabbanan. Then the Mechaber said, V'itztavanis v'itztava, and we had in the parentheses here, Pirish itztavanis. What is an itztavanis? Makom shelifnei chanuyos. This was the area in front of the shops, sheyoshvim sham hasoicherim, where the merchants would sit. So these were some kind of low benches that the merchants would sit on. V'itztava, and the itztava is a platform. V'itztava hu makom shamanichem alav pragmatia. This is the platform that they would put their wares on, and all of these are shelifnei ha'amudim. These are in front of the pillars that the merchants would hang their wares from, b'rishus harabim, in the rishus harabim. Says the Mishnah Berurah in Ois Katan Nun, shelifnei ha'amudim. This itztava and the itztavanis are located in front of the shops and in front of the pillars. Shelifnei ha'amudim. Amudim, these pillars, heim ha'imdim b'rishus harabim. These are columns that were erected in the rishus harabim. V'toilin b'hem atagarim pragmatia. And the merchants would hang their wares from these columns. Ve'etzlam hayua itztavois. And next to these columns, that's where the itztavois were. That's where the raised platforms were, where they put other kinds of products and merchandise onto these platforms. V'hinei midivrei Mechaber, from the words of Mechaber, shaloi zachar din debein ha'amudim, conspicuously absent in the words of the Mechaber does not discuss this area of the Rishus Harabim where these amudim were. He assumes that there's a Rishus Harabim, and then in the Rishus Harabim there are benches that have to be discussed, the itztavanis, and there are the itztavois that have to be discussed. Those are the platforms. But he doesn't talk about the area between the amudim. So mashma, the implication is, the svirale that the Mechaber held, the bein ha'amudim atzmon, that the area of the Rishus Harabim that has these amudim, nidoin kirishus harabim. That area still maintains the status of Rishus Harabim. Kedas Rambam, this is indeed the opinion of the Rambam. Avarov ha'paiskim pasku, however, the majority of the paiskim paskim, and in the Sharitzion he brings down the Rif, the Rashba, the Rosh, the Tur, the Rabbeinu Ruchim, the Meiri. Rov ha'paiskim pasku, the gam beinu amudim, that the area of the Rishus Harabim where these columns are, afal gav de zimnin the darsi rabbim, even though there are times that the rabbim, the throngs of people, do walk in that area, since it's not easy to walk over there, because these columns were not arranged in such an organized fashion. You could have one column here, and then one column there, and then another column close by, and then another one at an angle. So, that makes this area of the Rishus Harabim into a Kərməlית. So basically what we're talking about here is if you imagine you have a nice 16 amma wide Rishus Harabim, but then on the sides of the Rishus Harabim, the area gets complicated. You have columns, and next to it could be, it reminds me of, in a way, you go, I haven't been in the Staten Island Mall in quite a while, but I remember in the Staten Island Mall, so you have the walkway where everybody's walking in the mall, and you have those kiosks. Right? You have those like wagons or whatever it is. Now, by those wagons, you have people that have the wagon and they have their wares on the wagon. Then they also have next to them some kind of bench that they have stuff on. Then they also have a board with hooks on it and stuff hanging. So imagine if you have in the Rishus Harabim, you have the wide area of Rishus Harabim. That's clearly a Rishus Harabim, where everybody's traveling, but then off to the side, you might have a column over here with an itztava, with a bench, with a platform, and a bench. So the merchant is sitting on the bench, and next to him he's got the itztava where he's got his pots and pans, and right next to it he's got a column where he's got his aprons and his towels. And it's not done in an organized fashion. You could have one here, and another one there, and another one there, so it obstructs traffic. It's not easy for the people to walk in that part of the Rishus Harabim. So since it's not easy to walk in that part of the Rishus Harabim, these Rishonim are chelek on the Rambam, and they hold that whole area of the Rishus Harabim that has these kiosks and stuff going on, that all gets a din of a Kərməlית. That's not a Rishus Harabim. Okay. Zogt the Mechaber weiter. We go back up into the Mechaber. He's talking about the stand itself. He's not talking about the area of it. Right, the Mechaber. Right. That's why the Chavetz Chaim was medayik in the Mechaber, that the Mechaber does not mention the area itself. So he's being medayik that the Mechaber clearly holds, like the Rambam, that the area itself is a Rishus Harabim, and therefore it doesn't need to be discussed. But the other Rishonim are chelek. Now the Mechaber says, V'hi rechava arba v'gavoya mishloisha v'ad asara. The itztavonis and the itztava, in order for them to be a Kərməlית, they have to be daled al daled. They have to be rechava arba v'gavoya mishloisha v'ad asara, and they have to have a height somewhere between 3 tefachim and 10 tefachim. Now let's jump right down into the Mishnah Berurah, and he'll spell it out why. Says the Mishnah Berurah, Nun Aleph, V'hi rechava, the itztava or the itztavonis, in order to be a Kərməlית, has to be daled al daled. He points out for hu adin le'inyan itztavonis, it's both the itztava, the platform, and the itztavonis, the bench. It has to be a rechava nun beis arba. It has to be 4 wide. The gavoya, and it has to have a height between 3 and 10. Why? The be'ena rechava arba, because if the platform is not daled al daled, he makom ptur. Then it's a makom ptur because it's not a makom choshev. V'emeina gavoya shloisha, and if it's not 3 off the ground, he Rishus Harabim. Then it's bottled to the karka of Rishus Harabim, and then the platform of the bench are Rishus Harabim. V'im gavoya asara, and if it is daled al daled, but it's 10 tefachim high, Rishus Hayachid. Then it's Rishus Hayachid. The chanal b'sif yud. So the itztavonis and the itztava, they have to be, in order to be a Kərməlית, they have to be between 3 and 10, and they have to be daled al daled.
If it's not daled al daled, but it goes up to 10.
Makom ptur. Va'ad asara, Eistun Gimel, could be a maximum of 10. Umayri b'she'ein rabbi mekatvin aleha. In order for it to be a Kərməlית also, it has to be that the rabbim is not mekatvin alav, that they don't use it to put their pack down, to lean their pack on. The ilhavachi, because now if you're going to get an itztava or an itztavonis, which the rabbim is mekatvin alav, then betisha, then if it's exactly 9, or v'chein mitisha ad asara, or if it's between 9 and 10, l'dasa yesharim manal b'sif yud, according to the secondary opinion that we saw in Siv Yud, then have a Rishus Harabim. Then, since the rabbim is mekatvim alav, it gets a din of Rishus Harabim. We have to keep all of these variables, in mind. We have to juggle all of these variables. We're on Kuf Tzadik Ches Amid Beis, Siman Shin Mem Hey. We're in the middle of Sif Yadalid, and we're going back into the Mechaber now. The Mechaber says 1, 2, 3, 4 lines down from the top. The Keren Zavis. Yeah.
Isn't there a difference between that and a regular Because a regular pool doesn't belong to anybody. Over here, the stuff belongs to somebody.
Not really. I don't think the Itztava does belong to anybody. I don't think these belong to the shopkeepers.
It's like a flea market.
Right, it's a marketplace. Now, here we get a little complicated. The Keren Zavis, another case of a Carmelis. The Keren Zavis, the turning of a corner. Hasmucha l'Rishos Harabim, which is next to Rishos Harabim, and we'll define this in the Mishnah Berurah. Ukegoin, for example, the Ramah says, Mevuais sheyesh lehen shalosh bechitzos, an alleyway that has 3 mechitzas to it, ve'ein lehem lechi oikara b'revius, and does not have a beam or a lechi that's closing off the 4th side. Okay, what are we talking about over here? Says the Mishnah Berurah. Kegoin. All right, let's first say it outside. The Keren Zavis hasmucha l'Rishos Harabim. Literally, it means the turning of a corner that's next to Rishos Harabim. So the Rishonim give different ways to understand what this means. I should really draw these before I come. One way is as so. I am so not an artist. Here. What's that? Let's just take care of this this first. Here you have a Rishos Harabim, right? Now, you have 3 houses over here, 1, 2, and 3. This house pulled back off the Rishos Harabim. By pulling back off the Rishos Harabim, you have now created an indentation over here. So this is the turning of a corner that is in the Rishos Harabim, right? Basically, in the words of the Rishonim, this fellow, when he pulled his house back, he ceded from his property to the Rishos Harabim. Because now the Rabbim is going to walk over here. Okay? So, that's why the Mechaber's words over here, he says, the Keren Zavis hasmucha l'Rishos Harabim, the turning of a corner that's near the Rishos Harabim, and the Ramah said, ukigoin, and this would be similar to mevuos, an alleyway, because you're going into an alley, sheyesh lahem gimel mechitzos. It has a mechitza here, a mechitza here, and a mechitza here. So this area is surrounded by 3 mechitzos. Okay? Now, the Mechaber is saying that area is a Carmelis. That area is not a Rishos Harabim. That area is a Carmelis, that indentation. Let's take a look at the Mishnah Berurah. Says the Mishnah Berurah, Nun Daled, Kigoin, V'yesh oid pirish barashi. There's another explanation of this in Rashi. Kigoin shehichtes abayis l'soichai. The house, one of the houses was pulled back. V'hiniach bikarkoi l'Rishos Harabim, and he ceded from his property to the Rishos Harabim. Inami, or you could possibly learn bayis shepanav oimed ba'alachzoin. Over here, this pshat is where you have a house that's actually situated at an angle. So we'll do like this. Actually, I should have done it the other way. You can do either way. The front of the house that's fronting onto the Rishos Harabim is at an angle. Now, because it's at an angle, whichever direction you have the angle, it impedes the flow of traffic. If you're coming from here, the flow of traffic is impeded over here. If you're coming here, it's impeded over here, right? Forget this. Let's erase this from here. Let's say the traffic is coming here, and it hits this house, right? So you have an area of impeded traffic. So that's another pshat that they have in what it means, Keren Zavis. But whatever it is, there's an area in the Rishos Harabim that because of the way the houses fronting on the Rishos Harabim are set up, Shezavis Echad Smucha l'Rishos Harabim, one corner of the building is close to the Rishos Harabim, V'hashenis Mishucha miRishos Harabim l'fnim. V'zavis abeletes, the corner that sticks out, ma'akeves es harabim, it impedes the rabim melikones lahedya b'soich knisa shel zavis acheres. It impedes the traffic from flowing into that area, so that creates an area that's a carmelis. And the Ramah said that this is similar to a mavli, to an alleyway that has 3 mechitzos and does not have a lechi or a kaira. Now, before we read the Mishnah Berurah, just some basic background. First Mishnah in Eruvin, okay? If we remember the streets in the street structure in the time of the Mishnah, in the time of Gemara, was comprised of alleyways and chatzerim. Alleyways typically came off of the Rishus Harabim, and then off of the alleyways you had chatzerim that had houses in them. So, for instance, I'm not an art. We need a whiteboard, really, by the way. If someone could figure out how we could get a whiteboard here, it would be great, even though I'm not an artist. Here's a Rishus Harabim. Here's an alleyway. The alleyway opens onto chatzerim, onto courtyards that have houses in them, right? Now, what is the status of an alleyway? What is an alleyway? Is an alleyway a Rishus HaYachid? Is an alleyway a Rishus Harabim? So, here we have a big machlokes rishonim. It's a major machlokes rishonim. What is the status of an alleyway that's enclosed by 3 mechitzas? The shita of the Rambam, and I'm going to pick on the Rambam first because the Mishnah Berurah is going to start off with the shita of the Rambam. The Rambam held that when you have gimel mechitzos, midaraisa, that area has the status basically of a mokum p'tur. Midaraisa, it's not a Rishus HaYachid, it's not a Rishus Harabim, because it's mukaf mechitzas. Carmelis, there's no such thing as a Carmelis midaraisa. So what is it? It's a mokum p'tur. Therefore, if you would be standing in the Rishus Harabim, and you would throw something from the Rishus Harabim into this alleyway, you'd be potter. You'd be totally potter, because you're transferring something from a Rishus Harabim to a mokum p'tur. However, the Chachamim came along, and the Chachamim gave this alleyway, according to the Rambam, a din of a carmelis. Now that the alleyway is a carmelis, you're not allowed to carry inside the alleyway. You're not allowed to carry something daladamas inside the alleyway. What's the eitzah that you should be able to carry in the alleyway? You either have to put up a kaira, a beam, going across the top of the opening of this alleyway, or you have to put a lechi, a pole, on the side of the opening of the alleyway. Okay? That's the sheet of the Rambam. So therefore, says the Mishnah Berurah, when the Ramah says over here that this area, this Keren Zavis, off of the Rishus Harabim, is like a mavli that doesn't have a lechi or a kaira, what he means to say is, it's a carmelis. It's a carmelis because it doesn't have a lechi or a kaira. So it's 3 mechitzas, it's a mokum p'tur, but the Chachamim are geyser on it, it didn't carmelis, and you can't carry in it. But if you would put up a kaira, a beam across the top, or you'd put a lechi alongside the opening, now it becomes a Rishus HaYachid. Now if it's a Rishus HaYachid, you're allowed to carry inside it, and you're also not allowed to throw anything into it. So therefore, says the Mishnah Berurah, Nun Daled Kigoin, Nun Hey, this area is a carmelis, and it's like an alleyway with 3 mechitzas that doesn't have a lechi or a kaira. Says the Mishnah Berurah, Di haya lechi, because if there would be a lechi, a pole alongside the opening of this alleyway, haya Rishus HaYachid gomer min ha'Torah le'inyan zrika. It would be mamish Rishus HaYachid midaraisa for somebody to throw something from the Rishus Harabim into it. Sha'azayrik min Rishus Harabim l'soicha chayiv. If somebody were to throw something from the Rishus Harabim into this alleyway that has a lechi or a kaira, he would be chayiv midaraisa. V'gam shal yamutar l'taltal b'saycha k'chol Rishus HaYachid. And to carry in the alleyway would be mutter, like any other Rishus HaYachid. The kaim alone, because we hold lechi misham mechitza, that the lechi that you put at the opening to a mavli creates a mechitza. So now you have mechitzas on all 4 sides, and now the inside of the alleyway is mamish Rishus HaYachid b'daraisa. Va'afilu we have isham rak kaira, and even if you are masakin, if you fixed up the 4th side, the open side of the mavli, not with a lechi, but with a kaira, with a beam going across the top, the heavy rock bishum hekera, a kaira does not make a mechitza. A beam going across the top of a mavli, we say in the Gemara, does not form a mechitza. It's only to remind us that we're not allowed to carry here. I'll call upon that it's not a rishus harabim. I'll call upon him l'kuli alma rishus hayakadu linyan tiltul. Still, as far as carrying inside this area, you would be allowed to carry l'taltal b'seicha kamay b'shar rishus hayakid. However, the Chavetz Chaim says this is only according to the Shita of the Rambam, who holds that an area that has gimel mechitzos is a moklim p'tor midaraisa. Aval l'shari paiskim, but according to the other paiskim, al yidei shalosh mechitzos nasa rishus hayakid gamer min haTorah. Once you have 3 mechitzos, it's a rishus hayakid midaraisa. Once you have 3 mechitzos, va'azarik mirishus harabim l'seicha chayiv. And if you would throw something from the Rishus Harabim into this mother, you would be chayiv. So what does it mean over here that it's a karmelis? Elo le'inyan tiltol asa midrabanan k'karmelis. What the mechaber means is this area that's mukav gimel mechitzais that doesn't have a lechi or a kaira has a din of a karmelis that you're not allowed to carry inside it if it doesn't have a lechi or a kaira. Okay. Whew. Weiter in the Mechaber. The Mechaber says, what else is a karmelis? Or Rishus Harabim shehi mekayra. Any Rishus Harabim, any area that would be a Rishus Harabim, but it happens to be roofed over, now it becomes a karmelis. V'tail, or a mound, sheyesh by arba al arba, that has a surface area of 4 tefachim by 4 tefachim. Ve'ena gavaya asara, but it's not 10 tefachim tall. V'chein chritz, or a ditch, shehu arba al that has a surface of 4 by 4, ve'ein amuk asara, and is not 10 deep. Says the Mishnah Berurah, ois cotton nun vav. If you have an area that would be a rishus harabim but it's roofed over, shehu makura, so now it becomes a karmelis. Why is it a karmelis? De'ein adaymalu diglei midbar, because it's not similar to the drachim in the midbar, to the encampment of the midbar. Shalai hayam makura malamala, because that didn't have a roof. Nun zayin, what? Say again? No, the wagons didn't have covers, and even if they were, the wagons were just a yachid, not just a rab. Nun zayin sheyesh by arba al arba. The tail has to be 4 by 4, or the chritz has to be 4 by 4. The elav hachi have a makar p'tor to look how maybe some good tests. Or you have a tail nun ches. You had a tail that's not kavaya asara. V'em haya b'tzimtzum tisha. If it would be exactly 9. Ayin le'el b'sif yud. If the rabbim is mekatzvim alav, it becomes rishus harabim. Okay, finally, sif tezvav. What else is a karmelis? Bias, you have a house, she'ein toichai asara, where inside the house, from the floor of the house to the ceiling, you do not have 10 tefachim. V'keruyai mashlimai la'asara. So you have a shack. The inside measurement of the shack, from the ground to the ceiling, let's say is 9.5 tefachim. But the roof of the shack is a half a tefach thick. So on the outside of the shack, you have a height of 10 tefachim. But inside the shack, you do not have a height, airspace of 10 tefachim. So what's the din? V'yesh by arba al arba. But the interior of this shed is 4 by 4 tefachim minimum. So the halach is, toichai, the inside of the shed, karmelis. The inside is a karmelis. Because you have dalet al dalet, but you don't have a height of 10 tefachim. So you don't have an area dalet al dalet that's a mukaf mechitzis of 10 tefachim. You don't have a height of 10 tefachim. So the inside is a karmelis. Val gabai, but on the roof of the shed, rishus hayachid. The roof of the shed is a rishus hayachid, because basically it's a platform which is 10 tefachim high, and and it's dalet al dalet. So good asik, the outside walls continue up, and now the top is a rishus hayachid. Let's do the Mishnah Berurah before we get more complicated. Nun tes. V'yesh by arba al arba. It has dalet by dalet inside. Hainu b'chaloloi. This means inside. The ein b'chaloloi arba al arba, because if the interior would not be dalet al dalet, su ein al toichai shem karmelis, then the interior would not be a karmelis. The minimum size for a karmelis is dalet al dalet. Oy samach, toicha kamalis. The inside of this shed is a kamalis. Because the interior of the shed, you don't have a height of 10 tefachim. So the inside is only a kamalis. But on the roof of the shed, you've created a rishos hayachid. Because over there you do have a height of 10 tefachim. Now, let's see something cute. Says the Mechaber Vayter, what happens like this? Let's say this shed is not exactly daled al daled. Okay, it's not 4 by 4 tefachim. Let's say the inside of this shed is 10 amos by 10 amos. It's nice and big, the interior of the shed. But again, from the floor to the ceiling of the shed, you only have 9.5 tefachim. So the inside, you don't have a height of 10 tefachim. So fine, the interior of the shed is a kamalis. Now you went ahead and you took an area inside the middle of the shed and you dug down a half a tefach. No, I said that the interior was 9.5. So now you dug out a 4 tefach by 4 tefach square in the middle of this shed, and you dug down a half a tefach. So now, if you're standing in that half a tefach square, right, in that 4 by 4 square that's depressed a half a tefach, over there you have a height of 10 tefachim. Oh, what's the halacha then? Says the Mechaber like this. The last line on Kut Tzaddik Ches Amud Beis Siman Shin Mem Hey Sif Tes Vav.
You don't have 10 tefachim.
Sure you do.
No, you only have a half a tefach.
What?
The kois.
You're talking about the walls. Okay, let's get there. If you dug out a 4 tefach by 4 tefach square, afilu be'emtza, even if you did this smack in the middle of the shed, rachoik min aksalim, far away from the walls, nase kulay rishos hayachid, the entire interior of the shed becomes the rishos hayachid. Not only the inside of the 4 by 4 square that you dug out, even when you're standing on the raised area of the floor, where you do not have a height of 10 tefachim, that is also going to be a rishos hayachid. Says the Mishnah Berurah in Ois Cotton Samach Beis, 2 lines from the bottom. If you dug out in the floor of this shed, ba'oimik, a depth, lahashlim, to complete, sheyehei gavaya asara, so that the height in that 4 by 4 square is now 10 tefachim, afilu be'emtza rachaik, even if you dug out this depression smack in the middle of the shed, far away from the walls of the shed, Ritzaynoi loymar, what does the Mechaber mean to say when he says that you did it in middle, far away from the walls? The point is, afilu rachaik yoser mishloisha tefachim, even if you're more than 3 tefachim away from the side walls. What's the point of 3 tefachim? We're not using lavud over here. You remember always from Sukkah, we always say lavud. If you're within 3 tefachim, it's considered touching, it's considered closed. So don't think over here that the point is that we're going to dig down a depression and now the walls of the depression are going to be lavud to the outside walls and we're making mechitzas around the whole thing. No, you're more than 3 tefachim away. You're more than the sheer lavud away from the outside walls. So we're not joining the walls of the depression to the walls of the house. That's not what we're doing here. Afilu hachi sagi. Still, that depression is enough to make the entire interior of the shed a rishos hayachid. Why? Explains the Mishnah Berurah. V'atam, the reason is, the Gabe Shabbos. We're not talking about Sukkah here. We're talking about Shabbos. The Gabe Shabbos, when it comes to the laws of Shabbos, and what constitutes a rishos hayachid, Ikar hakpeda, the main kpeda, the main thing that we need here is sheyehei harishus shebeseicha, that we have an interior domain that's mishtameres ayidei hamachitzos hamakifim, which is protected and is isolated by the walls that surround it. The kevon shaksolim mibachutz gevayim asar tvachim. Since on the exterior of this shed you have walls that are 10 tefachim high, u'b'soich haguma, and in the depression that you made, in that 4x4 square, nami yesh goiva asar tefachim ad hakoira, you have an area that is daled al daled and has a height of 10 tefachim, mikri haguma rishus hayachid gemura. The inside area of that depression is a rishus hayachid gemur. Why? Because when you're standing in that 4 tefach by 4 tefach square, you're standing in an area that has a height of 10 tefachim, right? You measure from the floor to the ceiling, you've got 10 tefachim, and you see those walls that are on the outside? Those walls are 10 tefachim tall if you measure them from the outside. So when I'm standing in this area, I am surrounded by walls that are 10 tefachim tall. So I'm standing in an area that has an airspace of 10 tefachim, and it is mishtaberes by walls that are 10 tefachim tall. Now, they're not 10 tefachim tall if I measure them over there, but they're 10 tefachim tall if I measure them from the outside. Therefore, it's a rishus hayachid gamur. Once that area is a rishus hayachid gamur, now what's the din of the area that surrounds it? The area that surrounds it is usha'ar tzadei hakak shesavev aguma. The rest of the shed that surrounds this dugout area, mikre chure rishus hayachid. It gets the din of like holes that are off the rishus hayachid. If you remember in Sif Dalid, what did we say? We said if you have a rishus hayachid, and in the wall surrounding the rishus hayachid, you have a hole, the interior of that hole is a rishus hayachid, even if it's not dalid al dalid, even if it's not 10 tefachim tall. Why is it a rishus harabim? Because the hole is used by the people in the rishus harabim. So the interior of the hole, that space, is bottled to the rishus hayachid, and it gets a din of rishus hayachid. So too over here. I'm standing in my 4x4 dugout square. When I'm in my 4x4 dugout square, I'm in a rishus hayachid gomer, because I have a height of 10 tefachim, and I'm surrounded by 10 tefach tall walls. Now the rest of this area is bottled to this area. Because what's it here for? It's not serving the rishus harabim, it's inside the shed. So what's it serving? It's serving my rishus hayachid. So since it's serving my rishus hayachid, it's a bottle and it's nimshach achar the rishus hayachid. So it all gets a din of rishus hayachid. What? What do you mean? Which property?
Where you're building your rishus hayachid internally, what is it to the people who are outside?
If they would open the door and they would stick something in, there's over daraisa. It's a daraisa. They're going from rishus harabim to the rishus hayachid.
What happens is right above the 4x4, which is in the center of this shed, you have the roof open, 4x4.
It's still, it's yeah, it's a rishus hayachid.
What?
Yeah, it's a rishus hayachid.
Still rishus hayachid?
Why not?
What?
Why not?
Because
It's 10 tefachim and it's surrounded by its book of mechitzas. Sure, it's a rishus hayachid.
What do I need? The shed. I can have a 4x4
Yeah.
that has only one tefach, how do you call it? Like here. Right here, rishus hayachid, where I have a 4x4 with one tefach,
Right.
okay?
Right.
And over there,
Yeah.
right? Because it's huge. It's what's his name's Lyndon Johnson Ranch in Texas.
Yeah.
And there he has mechitza over there, whatever he is,
Yeah.
or something like that.
If you're surrounded by mechitzas that are 10 tefachim tall, it's a rishus hayachid. Yeah.
What?
If you're surrounded by mechitzas that are 10
Even
tefachim
if
tall,
it's really far all the way,
Yeah.
whatever it is?
yeah. Yeah. Doesn't matter. Because again, we're not using lovud.
So it's not. No, wait a minute. It's not 10 tefachim tall. It's only 9.
What's only 9?
His fence, Lyndon Johnson's fence is only 9.
But
But I have a hole in the middle.
But what is it on the outside measurement? Is it 10 tefachim on the outside measurement? If you measure the walls from the outside, is it 10 tefachim? If it's 10 tefachim, then it's a rishus hayachid.
No, that's only to make the top.
No, that's what That's what the Mishnah Berurah is saying.
That's only to make the top.
No, the vart that the Mishnah Berurah is saying over here is that you need two things. To create a Rishus HaYachid inside, you need two things. You need to have inside a height of 10 tefachim, minimum, right? And this area has to be surrounded by walls that are 10 tefachim tall. Now, wait a second. The walls aren't 10 tefachim tall. They're only 9.5 tefachim tall. But measured from the outside, they're 10. So they're 10.
So you don't need the whole roof.
No.
The whole roof you don't need.
No, you don't. You don't. You don't need a roof. Rishus HaYachid doesn't need a roof. I love this Mishnah Berurah. I love this Mishnah Berurah. Okay.
What is this? Where do we see that this thing from the outside is?
Well, he's bringing it. So he says over here. He says the Rishus HaYachid David K'Talel B'Sif Daled Rush. He's bringing this from a rush. It's a rush. Now what? Yeah, Mishtameres. It has to be Mishtameres. Umidvar of mashma, and the Chavetz Chaim continues. He says, from the words of the Rosh, it is mashma. If outside the walls were not 10 tall, then it would not be a Rishus HaYachid inside. Ela im kain haguma smucha toich shleisha tvachim lakoisel. Darmin and lavud. If on the outside measurement the walls would not be 10 tefachim tall, then you would need lavud. Then you would have to make lavud between the wall and the wall of the depression that you dug out in order to be able to combine them to give them a combined height. Okay, let's go a little bit weiter. Sif Tezayin, the top of Kuf Tzadik Tes Amud Aleph. Gag haboileit al mechitzais habayis. If you have a roof that protrudes, let's say a building with a flat roof, and nowadays when we make our buildings, we generally speaking, we make eaves, right? We stretch the roof. The roof goes out beyond the walls that are underneath it, right? Now, just background. We say that when you have a platform in the Rishus HaRabim that's 10 tefachim high and is 4 by 4, right? The top is a Rishus HaYachid. Why is the top a Rishus HaYachid? Where are the mechitzos? Rishus HaYachid needs mechitzos. The answer is because there's a halakha l'Moshe Sinai, good asik mechitzta, that the walls from the outside are seen as if they continue up. So when you have a house, you have a structure like this, where you have a 10 tefach tall wall here, and you have a flat roof here, and this top is daled al daled. So all of the walls of the structure, we say good asik mechitzta. These walls, it's as if they continue up, and the 4 walls constitute 4 mechitzas around the top surface. What the Mechaber is going to discuss now is, let's say the building is not constructed like this. Let's say the building is constructed like this, so that the roof protrudes over the walls. It's not flush, it goes past the walls. So says the Mechaber like this. Gag, a roof, haboileit al mechitzas habayis, that goes beyond the walls that are beneath it. Shein mechitzas habayis nikaros la'omer al hagag, so that if a person is standing on the roof, he doesn't see. If he looks over the edge, he doesn't see the walls. He sees empty space. He can't see the walls. Heavy Kərmelית, that roof does not get a din of Rishus HaYachid. We do not say good asik mechitzta. Since the roof goes beyond the walls, we cannot say good asik mechitzta. Since you can't say good asik mechitzta, so now what's this roof? It's not surrounded by mechitzos. It's more than 10 tefachim off the ground. It's not a suya lehilach rabim. So what is it? It's a Kərmelית. Va'afilu hu gavaya v'rochav harbe. Even if it's very tall and very wide, that rooftop is going to be a Kərmelית. However, caveat: ve'im chaloin pasuach loimin abayis. However, if there's a trap door that opens up onto this roof, or it doesn't have to be a trap door. It could be a staircase that goes up, and there's a doorway that goes up onto the roof. Having Rishus HaYachid. Now the roof is going to be a Rishus HaYachid, even though it does not have mechitzos. Even though you can't say good asik mechitzta, still it's going to be a Rishus HaYachid. Anybody care to guess why? Bingo! It's Churei Rishus HaRabim. Because now it's serving the Rishus HaRabim. So since it's serving the Rishus HaYachid, it's serving the Rishus HaYachid, so it gets a din of Churei Rishus HaYachid. V'chein, similarly, Zizin haboltim min hakoisel, a ledge that protrudes off of the wall of a house. V'yesh behem arba al arba, and this ledge has a surface of dalet al dalet. Have a kamalis. That ledge is a kamalis. Ele im kein chaloin abayis pasuch lehem. Unless there's a doorway, a trap door or a window that opens up onto the ledge so that the ledge serves the interior Rishus HaYachid. Then it gets a din of Churei Rishus HaYachid, and now it's going to be a Rishus HaYachid. Says the Mishnah Berurah Samach Daled, Gag, a roof, Ke'ein Gag Shalonu, like our flat roofs, the Chavetz Chaim says. Ha-boilate, if the roof line extends beyond the walls of the structure. Hatam, what is the reason that the top roof now becomes a Carmelis and not a Rishus HaYachid? Hatam, Demasha Nasa HaGag Rishus HaYachid, the reason why we normally say that the roof of a building is a Rishus HaYachid, Hainu Mishum Darmin Good Asik Bechitzos, because we say Good Asik Bechitzta. We say that Allah Moshe Sinai, that the outside wall of the building is seen as if it continues up. Good Asik Bechitzos Hatachtoinais Lamala. The halakha of good extends the walls that are below the roof to go up. V'nimtza bayis mukaf l'ma'ala me'arba tzadin, so that the roof is seen as being surrounded by four mechitzos. Yeah.
What he's saying, v'hatam in the top of the Mishnah Berurah.
Yeah.
V'hatam began the Shabbat, ika k'pedesh yeh.
Whoa, you're all the way up there now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And here it's not Mishnah Berurah, so you want to know how is it a Rishus HaYachid? And the answer is Halach l'Moshe Sinai. I'm going to ask him a chitzna. Huh? Halach l'Moshe Sinai. Moshe Kibbel Torah Sinai. V'zel lo shayach. I'll tell you. I really don't have time, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'll tell you a Maisa. The canvas sukkahs, right? The canvas sukkahs. So the Paiskim Tumultzach on the canvas sukkahs, that if the canvas is loose and the canvas blows in and out, especially if it blows more than Gimel tefachim in each direction, so it's not a mechitza, it's not a wall. So the sukkah is not a kosher sukkah. So nowadays they have all sorts of eitzes. They make them better. They pull them very tight. Then they have, I love it, the loved straps, right? You have the straps that go by and it makes loved. It's okay. They have all the eitzes. So ma'aseh shahaya kachoya. Somebody was by his father-in-law for sukkahs, and his father-in-law had an old canvas sukkah that he yarshened the frame from this one and the canvas from that one and the hooks from this one. Now I could tell you, be'enai re'isi, that this canvas sukkah, what we called it the sailboat sukkah, because when the wind blew in one direction, the whole frame would go, and you hear that during the whole meal, the whole sukkah, forget the walls, the schach and the whole thing would be, and the walls blew in and out. So this fellow went to he didn't want to eat in the sukkah. He didn't want to eat in his father-in-law's sukkah. So he went to one well-known Rav in Flatbush and asked him a shayla, what should I do? And this well-known Rav told him, go back and tell your father-in-law that they're eating an apostle of sukkah. So he came to me and he said, what do I do? I said, what do? You put your foot in it. I said, you didn't ask me. You went and you asked a Rav and you got a psak. So what should I tell you? Now you can't eat in the sukkah. I said, you want to know what I think you should do now? I think you should go and you should sit down and you should fake as good as you could possibly fake, and you should eat stuff that's not chayiv in sukkah somehow, but don't you dare tell your father that he's sitting in a puzzle of sukkah. I mean, you can't do that. But applause. Okay. Kharmelית. Kalamayit, we came together and he asked the child to Reuben. He asked Reuben, what do I do? He said, you wash and you eat in the sukkah. He says, but it blows. So he says, what are you telling me? You're telling me it's not a mechitza? Could you walk through it? Could you see through it? He says, my father ate in the projects on the Lower East Side in a canvas sukkah that blew at least as much as that sukkah does. Now, should you make a sukkah that way? You're going and you're buying a new sukkah, should you make a sukkah that way? No! You should not make a sukkah that way. But over here, you're eating by your father-in-law, and your father-in-law holds that the sukkah is a kosher sukkah, and he's not going to be makabel from you that it's not a kosher sukkah. So what are you doing? You're going to destroy Yom Tov by making a whole family fight over here whether the sukkah is kosher or the sukkah is puzzle. Lavud. Lavud. Now look at this though. But lavud, if you would take twine and make twine every less than gimel tefachim, and even you'll be machmer, and you'll make shesi and erev. You'll make in both directions. That's zichra mechitza. That's zichra mechitza. The wind blows through it, and you can see through it, and there's no privacy, and it's not mishtameres. But that's zichra mechitza, because halacha l'moshe misinai. But the canvas that blows, we have a suffix if it's a mechitza or it's not a mechitza. Halacha l'moshe misinai. Love is love. It is what it is.